Hey, what's up, everybody? Give me a minute to find the book I'm looking for. I'm always getting stuff, moving stuff around and misplacing it. I think it's in this stack over here. Hang on. Hey, where did my Magickal retreat book go? There it is. There we go. Yes, I am wearing a halter top today that I made. And this necklace my sister gave to me. So, Paulette, I enjoy it. And it is really hot up here, so it's not too bad, I guess, because the wind is open and stuff, but it tends to get hot in this apartment. So summertime is like the worst for us here because we're in Ohio, and it's one of those things where, oh, that's just a pin that I was using. It's a habit for me to stick it behind my ear. Been trying to play catch up on things too. I watched some of Colin and Peyton's stuff. I watched some of Bailey and Nick's stuff. I subscribed to Bailey and Nick's channel. And I'm trying to figure out how to get the Paranormal Files merge. I tried clicking on the link, but it kept saying, sorry, we can't find that page every time I did it. So I'll have to get them a comment and ask them if they can send me the link or something and on here, and then I'll try it again. I don't know. But before anything else, okay, do we want to start the chapter first? Or do I want to do the goddess of the day and the spell of the day? Right now I'm looking through the book to see how many pages is in this one. Okay, it's looking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 22, roughly. So hopefully it'll go fairly quick. I try to read it kind of like not too fast or anything. I just had to lean down on the floor to get my books here. Goddess of the day today is Securita. Themes: protection, ghosts, and grounding. Symbols: amulets and protective sigils. About Securita. As the name implies, Securita is a protective goddess who watches over not only individuals in need, but also entire empires. In the true spirit of security, she also actively promotes stability and firm foundations in our lives. To do today, May 9th. In ancient Rome, lemurs were considered to be the ghosts of family members who like to pester the living, if given the chance. So, in all due prudence, the Romans took time once a year to put ghosts back where they belong, and invoke Securita's protection by tossing beans behind them 9 times. We can use this symbolism today in banishing any ghosts that linger in our figurative closets. Just name a handful of beans after your ghost, toss them behind you in an open area, and walk away. This appeases the spirits and leaves the troubles behind you in the past, where they belong. Today is an excellent day to make Securita amulets for protection against mischievous spirits. Take any one or all of the following and bind them in a white cloth with red wool: sandalwood, sage, violet, or peach pit. As you tie the wool, say, Securita's power lies inside. Where this amulet sits, no ghost may abide. Put the token wherever you need it. Eating leek soup keeps away spirits too. So, let me go ahead and switch to the next page, which will be tomorrow's, May 10th. Oh, and this is just my ooh shiny bag that I've got. I keep it on me. Blessing and consecration. Let me check. Where is my phone even? I think it's charging. So, yeah, okay. Just making sure it was the 9th. Okay, we usually bless and consecrate items before we use them in our craft and our spells. This dedicates their use to the gods and for our magic. Working tools such as the athame, chalice, censer, etc. should be consecrated after cleansing, but before use, whereas the objects we use in spells will be consecrated after the spell has been constructed, e.g., all the objects added to a charm bag or the candle engraved. Probably the most common way of doing this is through the elements. You will need some incense, a candle, some water, and some salt on your altar. Take your object and pass it through the incense smoke and say, I do bless and consecrate this, name item, with incense, that it be inspired by air, blessed be. Pass it briefly through the candle flame or over it if it's likely to burn, and say, I do bless and consecrate this, name the item, with flame, that it be impassioned by fire, blessed be. Sprinkle a few drops of water on it and say, I do bless and consecrate this item with water, that it have true feeling, blessed be. Sprinkle it with a little salt and say, I do bless and consecrate this item with salt, that it be rooted in earth, blessed be. Now hold your object up over the altar and visualizing the goddess and God, say, I call upon the goddess and God to bless and consecrate this item. I ask that they guard, guide, and protect its use. Blessed be. Your object is now ready for use. Hasty magic leaves plenty of time for regret. So you don't want to overdo things. You don't want to, make things too complicated to where it becomes frustrating, I guess, maybe to go any further, because if you're going to get yourself that upset, then you need to, let me go ahead and take this thing off. Then you need to maybe put it up and do it another day. Okay, so I guess onward with chapter 5 in the Magickal Retreat. The time is 20 till 1. Chapter 5, Filling the Hours. The secret of success in life is to be ready for opportunity when it comes. You've created a basic format. Now it's time to consider what you'll do on your retreat and what you'll need to have on hand. By thinking ahead, you'll be well prepared, and your retreat will run smoothly, undisturbed by mundane concerns or worries about details. Magical activities. Magical activities are those in which we practice craft skills without delving specifically into matters of religion or spirituality. Much of magical practice is craft rather than religion. Now, granted, in many instances, the magical and the spiritual are closely intertwined. But they often appear separately as well. For example, before one can begin studying the runes and incorporating them into spiritual practice, he may wish to make a set for himself or herself. The person who wishes to perfect the ritual raising of energies may first want to craft a wand, but in order to do this, he or she may have to spend time learning to use woodcrafting tools. An alchemist wishing to make SPAGYRIC tinctures must first learn to brew infusions and decoctions, and so forth. What sorts of magical activities will you bring into your retreat? Are you interested in practicing a magical skill? Improving your powers of observation? Searching and learning the stars? Developing a tool or creating a piece of writing or magical art? In chapters to come, we'll consider some specific designs for magical practices. For now, simply think about how you'd like to work with magic during your retreat, bringing the elements into your space. Earth. Earth grounds and provides a center. Use natural stoneware or earthenware on your table. Set stones, rocks, and crystals around your home. Use natural sea salt in your kitchen. Air. Air is energizing, inspiring, and improves the clarity of the mind. To bring air into your home, open the windows, burn candles, incense, or essential oils. Hang wind chimes and banners outside your windows. Hang mobiles inside your home. Fire. Fire is energy in its purest form. To bring in fire, burn candles and smudges. If you have a fireplace, keep a fire burning as a gathering point and a place to meditate. Hang prism creating crystals in the windows. Cook with fiery spices and peppers. Water. Water calms, soothes, and heals. One of the best ways to bring water into your space is with a small tabletop fountain. These have the added benefit of releasing negative ions into the surrounding room, creating a sense of peace and well-being. Or try setting out a bowl of water with flower petals or floating candles on its surface. Spirit. Spirit supports energy and emotions, connects us to the world, and inspires us to greater things. For spirit, you may wish to incorporate photographs of your loved ones or items of family memorabilia. You may wish to display certain books, emphasize items with great personal meaning. Spiritual activities. If magical activities are all about practicing craft, knowledge, and skills, you'll use those skills to enrich, expand, or explore your spiritual activities. And you'll probably want to devote at least part of your retreat to spiritual or religious work. You might study coursework toward an initiation, work with prayer or meditation, add content to a spiritual book of shadows, or book of rite, or practice ritual or spell work. Why am I separating magical and spiritual? Granted, they are often so closely related as to be inextricable from one another. I could argue that everything we do is both magical and spiritual, but I'd like you to try thinking of them as separate but equal components, because this will help you tease your ideas. The easiest way to do this is to imagine the magical as a time of hands-on development and practical skill building, while the spiritual or religious is a time of direct personal application. Here are some simple ways of adding a spiritual bent to your retreat. Bring protective elements or correspondences into the room and magical significance, i.e., elemental objects, gems, essential oil, candles, or other items lending protection or magical contagion. Perform a smudging or burn herbs or incense, blessing and purification. Scatter salt or dried herbs, purification. Asperge with salt water or herbal infusions, purification. Invoke the power of a patron spirit or of the elements, invocation. Clap with your hands throughout the room. This disperses old energy, banishment, dispersion. Ring a bell or shake a rattle throughout the room. This welcomes in sacred energy, invocation, appeal. Cast a circle and work within it, creation of safe and sacred space. Bless tools, talismans, or other items, which is blessing. Pray to deity or patron figures, prayer. Carry out formal or informal ritual, spell work, altar craft, or the like. Mundane considerations. Your retreat may be magical and will almost certainly be spiritual, but it will also encompass the mundane as well. You'll want to consider the mundane elements and make sure they run smoothly, key support structure to the entire retreat. Simply put, if you're hungry, cold, or uncomfortable, you won't have much fun, and it will be challenging to focus on the retreat itself. Your mundane considerations may include travel to and from the retreat location, physical considerations of the location. Can you drive right up to it, or must you hike or climb to gain access? Is it temperature controlled, or will you be at the mercy of the elements? Itch. Is there electricity, running water, room service, indoor plumbing? Are there any safety issues that need considering? How will you manage food and water? What do you need to rest and sleep comfortably? Will you need special clothes or gear, for example, walking shoes or a swimsuit? What are your emergency and or safety considerations? Who will know where you are and when you're expected back? How will you get help during the retreat if you need it? Setting the mood. As you prepare for your retreat, consider how you'll establish the mood once you're on site. In thinking mood, the best approach is often through the senses. Sight. If you have favorite talismans, photographs, crystals, magical objects, or other personal stuff, bring them along. Strewn in your work area, they'll provide comfort and inspiration. Ditto for a favorite blanket or altar cloth. A touch of the familiar can be very useful when doing magical or spiritual work. The recognized object can provide both reference point and anchor, a firm place to return to, as well as a possible focus for grounding and meditation. Candles add beauty, inspiration, and a touch of the liminal to any setting. If using candles during your retreat, keep them on a safe surface and away from anything that could catch fire, obviously, and never leave them unattended. A quart-sized glass mason jar makes an excellent candle holder. The clear glass allows full view of the candle, but the candle is completely contained within the jar. Smart. And the melted wax cannot spread and start a fire. Screw on the lid and the candle extinguishes itself. Tea light candles. The new automatic LED candles provide a wonderful touch if your retreat location doesn't allow open flames. You can even use LED candles safely within tents. Will you be camping outdoors? Nothing sets the mood better than a campfire. Bring dry wood and lots of smaller tinder and kindling to get the fire going. Laundry lint and old bits of candles make superb fire starters. Begin with fire starters and small dry pieces of wood. As the fire begins burning well, keep adding slightly larger pieces to form a teepee structure. This triangular shape mimics the fire's natural form and burns quickly and easily. When finished with the fire, extinguish until it is cold out, meaning you can place your hand on the cold ashes and feel no warmth. Scent. If you like working with scented candles and incense, by all means include them in your retreat. Their scents may provide a textured depth that adds to the setting you've created. And don't forget that fragrances are also powerful in their own right. A scent is the most potent energy trigger known, conjuring up scenes that may be decades old or even connecting us with other times or worlds. Aromas also have the ability to create their own magical influences. Use specially chosen scents to help you meditate, think creatively, invite in your favorite deity, and more. Touch. Your skin is your largest sensory organ. Spend time thinking about how to bring it to life throughout your retreat. Think soft clothes and beddings, fleece jackets, warm hats, fluffy socks for your feet, silk pajamas, soft cotton robes, or whatever feels wonderful to you. Are you planning to soak in a bathtub? Don't forget your favorite silky bath oil. Will you be outdoors? Spend some time going barefoot, allowing your feet to actually touch the earth. Taste. We'll talk more about food in a bit, but obviously your retreat is a time to eat and drink in a way that nurtures and enlivens your magical and spiritual self. As I said, more discussion on this is to come. Sound. Music can provide a wonderful background or may even become a focus of your retreat. Native American drums and flutes provide a soothing backcloth for meditation and contemplation, as does most Celtic music. Classical music is known to be helpful during periods of intense study, particularly if you listen to Bach, Mozart, or Chopin. Apparently, their controlled mathematical nature actually helps one study and retain information. A carefully chosen piece of music can support a magical mindset and inspire creativity. White noise or sounds taken from nature also work well for some people and are especially good at creating that sense of other that's so important in a retreat setting. Rather than simply using music as a background, you may choose to use it as part of dance or other joyful, ecstatic activity. There's a lot of good pagan and general dance music available these days. As you select, make sure that the energy level matches your intended purpose. Other ways to use sound. Bring a small bell, use it in ritual, or simply ring it as you move from one part of your retreat to the next. The auditory cue provided by the bell adds to the sense of other space. Another idea. Hang a wind chime where either the wind or your hand can stir it. Magical spidey sense. Consider those artifacts and trappings that activate your magical self and awareness. Perhaps donning robes slips you into magical space. Maybe you brew a special cup of tea, put on specific music light candles, or begin with a ritual or incantation. You might even set up a small altar space or a collection of magical materials. Consider what wakens your magical senses and provide for these aspects as you plan. After all, your retreat time will be limited, and you'll want to maximize every second of it. Physical activity. Physical activity nourishes the body and inspires well-being and creativity. There are a number of ways to work physical activity into your retreat, and I strongly encourage you to do so. Begin the day with a brisk walk or run. Leave the iPad behind and listen to and engage with the awakening world around you. Look for a day sign, more on this in Chapter 6, a natural augur or occurrence that seems to speak to you. Journal about it when your walk is over and ponder the augur's meaning. If you have private access to workout equipment or a swimming pool or a lake, you could certainly incorporate intentional exercise into your schedule. Avoid the public gym, though, as this would invade and undo the solitude of your retreat. Also, if you normally exercise daily, you may decide not to do so during your retreat as a way of emphasizing the difference between your usual and retreat realms. Bring dance into your retreat experience. Dance spontaneously, dance to music, dance in ritual, or spin carefully around a campfire. Feel the joy of fluid movement. Build 1 or 2 walks into your plan, or if your routine stagnates or the day seems to slow down, go for an unscheduled walk. Walk quickly enough to perspire or to be on the edge of breathlessness, feeling the blood pumping through you. Slow your pace and breathe deeply of nature's gifts. Work with Tai Chi, yoga, or another healthy art. Don't know Tai Chi or yoga? Rent or buy an instructional DVD and have fun working this into your retreat. Who knows, a new health routine may be born. Work with Tai Chi, yoga, or another healthy art. If you're a bicyclist and there are bike paths or quiet roads nearby, bring your bike along and enjoy an occasional ride. This can be especially fun in an area that is new to you. It's a great way to get the lay of the land, and please wear your helmet. We magic users need to protect our brains. Are you planning an outdoor retreat? This would be the perfect time to take a hike. Make sure that someone else knows where you will be hiking and when to expect your return. In addition, carry the 10 outdoor essentials. Remember that even a twisted ankle on an outdoor trail could make it impossible for you to walk, leaving you to survive until found. The 10 outdoor essentials are easy to pack into a corner of your backpack, and they'll keep you warm and safe while you wait. Note, if you hike often, invest in a waist bag or fanny pack to hold the TOEs. That way, whenever you want to head out, just grab it and you'll be set. The 10 outdoor essentials. 1. Weather-appropriate clothing plus a warm or rainproof jacket and or a thin metallic space blanket. The space blanket can also be used for a rough shelter. 2. Matches and fire starters. Old candle stubs work well. Waterproof the matches by dipping the heads in paraffin and storing the matches in a small tin or an old film canister. 3. Pocket knife. 4. Water. 5. Food, a granola bar or 2. 6. Map and compass. A GPS may work too, but batteries can quit, and there are still places where GPS doesn't work, e.g. deep canyons. 7. First aid kit. 8. Flashlight with fresh batteries. 9. A plastic whistle. Metal ones stick to the lips in freezing conditions. 10. Sunblock or sun protection. Embracing silence. While music and dance may be an important part of your retreat, many people choose to invoke silence, both internal and external. Working in a silent setting, no music, no television, no iPod, no smartphone, and no other form of ambient noise forces one to be more aware of everything and heightens awareness of real and magical space. Personal, intentional silence. Not speaking, singing, or otherwise making sound during the experience. can also be a powerful addition to a time of introspection and meditation. Keeping silence may be used as a type of self-test, particularly if it culminates in initiation or vigil. Whatever your path or motivations, as a good magic user, you should be able to embrace the silence. Listen to it. Welcome it. Hear it. Yes, hear it. Silence, after all, makes its own sound. More important, silence, whether external or internal, allows you to hear and respond to your inner voice. It is this voice from which personal growth and insight come. When there's too much noise and activity around us, it can be impossible to hear much of anything, and the still inner voice is lost in the hubbub. An important focus of the retreat experience is in its powers of transformation. While on retreat, you'll listen quietly to your inner wisdom, and for those moments of revelation that gift you with new understandings. Silence is an especially valuable tool for those retreating in a natural setting. I'm continually frustrated when I see people walking or working outside while plugged into an MP3 player, making it impossible for them to hear and experience the sounds around them. Staying silent while out in nature will open you to an amazing trove of experiences. You'll hear bird song, the sound of wind in the trees, the movement of squirrels overhead, the crunch of leaves underfoot. Allowing yourself to experience these connections will bring you more deeply into nature's world and open you to possibly transcendent experiences. The big unplug. Separating from the electronic world. Ooh. And speaking of silence and listening, here it comes. I'm just messing with you. When I mentioned the words iPod and smartphone in relationship to silence, you got nervous, didn't you? Well, here it is. Unless you're a cyber mage and the internet is an important part of your magical or practical or spiritual practices, or an intentionally cyber retreat, I believe it's important to disconnect yourself completely from the cyber world during your retreat. Why? Many reasons. First, we're living within the time of the digital revolution and digital paradigm shift, and it's causing people to behave strangely. Go out shopping, and half the people you'll see have cell phones in their hands, not in purses or pockets or backpacks, in their hands. Watch them. Every few seconds, each one is looking down at the screen, and often so busy texting or reading that he or she is not bothering to look at what's happening 3 feet away. I saw an item a few months ago on the evening news about a woman in a mall who was so intent on her cell phone as she was walking that she walked right into a sunken pond on the mall's edge. It was hilarious. This water feature was probably 20 feet long, and she didn't even see it coming. I rest my case. Turn into a fly on the wall at the typical restaurant table, and too often you'll see each person munching away while staring into the cell phone parked next to the dinner plate, all the while ignoring the real people at the same table. Bad, bad, bad. Slip into a typical home in the evening, and you're likely to find the inhabitants sitting in different rooms in front of screens, cell phones, laptops, video games, and others. And guess what? Once again, they're off in their own worlds, staring into electronic screens while failing to interact with their flesh and blood, loved ones only a few feet away. Here's the thing. The digital world is fantastic. I mean, you'll have to pry my laptop out of my cold, dead hands. But when technology pulls us in so deeply that we lose contact with the real three-dimensional world we live in, or that we find it hard to function or interact with our fellow humans, then Houston, we have a problem. Remember that the point of your retreat is for you to focus on yourself in a deeply spiritual and magical sense. Doing this requires a certain amount of privacy and quiet, both internal and external. It requires uninterrupted time and concentration. and it's almost impossible to find this depth of focus or this kind of private contemplation. Um, Silence if you remain connected to the digital world. If you're constantly checking Facebook or sending text messages. Okay, I messed up. Hang on. It requires uninterrupted time and concentration, and it's almost impossible to find this depth of focus or this kind of private contemplative silence if you remain connected to the digital world, i.e., if you're constantly checking Facebook or sending text messages. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy using the web as much as anyone, but during your retreat, the focus must be on you and your journey, not on the rest of the universe. Your retreat is designed to be quiet, solitary, and settled. By its very nature, the retreat means you are setting yourself apart. This means you must temporarily detach from the mundane world, and this means in literal and digital terms. Therefore, if we can agree that it's important to disconnect yourself from the cyber world during your retreat, I propose that these rules be part of your retreat. I agree. No telephone, cell phone, tablet, or anything of the sort. If you feel an absolute need to be in touch with family, let them know that you will check messages for emergencies only once or twice a day, but that you will leave your phone off otherwise and will not make or receive phone calls until the retreat ends. They will need to manage without you while you're gone, and trust me, they can do it. No texting, sending or receiving, no email or computer use, no audio, visual, or digital devices, including laptops, tablets, cell phones, television, radio, MP3 players, and similar items. E-readers, iPods, tablets, or laptops may be okay if they hold texts or music that you will use during your retreat. But you must avoid the temptation to surf and send email. I would suggest you avoid using any of these devices unless you really have no other option. You get the idea. The goal is to disconnect yourself from the electronic world as part of your retreat. Believe me, everyone will be okay without hearing from you for a day or two. And you'll be fine too. In pre-cell phone and pre-answering machine days, humans relied on plain old phones and still managed to get in touch with each other when they really needed to. Disconnecting briefly from modern culture and everyday communication removes you from the mundane routines of your usual life and helps you enter the world of other, the liminal space that defines your hero's journey and your spiritual retreat. Parting company with electronics is also an excellent way to engage with silence. In today's digital age, we are continually barraged with visual and auditory images, and as a result, most people today don't understand silence. Their ears are continually occupied with personal music systems, cell phones, and the like, and their eyes with video screens and televisions and such. One can neither listen well nor hear well in the midst of this kind of noise and sensory overload. Imagine, for instance, trying to meditate effectively while texting or playing a video game. Ain't happening. There's also mounting neuropsychological evidence that the bytes and bytes of information we process through electronic means are affecting the way we think and may even be interfering with our ability to read dense, complex text. We are seeing this particularly in young people who are used to receiving a constant stream of digital information, but who have increasing difficulty reading a long, sustained piece of work, such as a novel. Brain imaging shows that different parts of the brain are activated by different activities. Reading a short blurb on the web makes one portion light up, while reading The Lord of the Rings or War and Peace activates a different region entirely. For those of us interested in magic and earth-based spirituality, much of our development comes through reading and study. The moral of the story: use it or lose it. Enjoy your internet, but keep reading those long, dense, challenging books as well. About multitasking. Let's talk about another benefit of your retreat, namely it will allow you to slow down and focus intently on one thing at a time. Why is this important? We live in a fast-paced digital environment, and most of us spend a significant part of our day juggling digital devices and soaking up electronic input. Like Johnny Five in Short Circuit, input. The key word there is juggling. It's not unusual for us to try and do several tasks at once. Perhaps you cook dinner with an eye on the television news while simultaneously checking voicemail on your cell phone, reading text messages, and helping your child with homework. Or you might sit down at your laptop to check emails or work on a piece of writing, only to find yourself scanning Facebook or surfing the web. Most of us think we're pretty good at this. We believe ourselves to be successful multitaskers, and we see this as a way to get several things done at once. The problem is, we're wrong. In his article, Myth of Multitasking, University of San Francisco professor Jim Taylor remarks, the fact is that multitasking, as most people understand it, is a myth that has been promulgated by the technological industrial complex to make overly scheduled and stressed out people feel productive and efficient. Taylor goes on to explain that we're actually carrying out serial tasking rather than multitasking, and that in doing so, we not only lose efficiency but wear ourselves out. Taylor's claims are backed by Stanford University researcher Al Ofer, et al., and these two pieces of research are only the tip of an emerging iceberg that's just poking its nose above the technological waterline. Yes, the research is in, and it proves that we really can't multitask. We think we're multitasking, but in reality, we're simply switching from one task to another so rapidly that we don't realize we're doing it. So you're thinking, what's the problem? The problem is that the act of rapidly switching every few minutes or seconds between one task and the next actually slows us down. Brain scanning shows that this switching actually splits the brain, assigning tasks to different areas. This makes the activity much less efficient than it normally would be, and also has a profound disorganizing effect on the brain. It ends up taking us longer, collectively, to complete each task than it would if we tackled them one at a time. The same research shows that we cannot effectively handle more than 2 tasks at once, and even then, we aren't handling them simultaneously. Not surprisingly, multitasking causes us to do a worse job at each activity and leaves us much less likely to retain a sound memory of the activity or its results. It's also exhausting. Yikes. So why this myth of multitasking? Oh, my back. I gotta lean back. I hope everybody can still see me okay. Why do we believe we're so good at it? And why has modern culture seemingly begun to focus on multitasking as an expected part of life? The simplest answer probably looks squarely at the digital revolution. Our days have become fast-paced and packed with a steady information flow. We try to keep up by doing several things at once, with the results being mediocre completion, fragmented memory, heightened stress, escalating fatigue, and of course, this only brings us back to the need for spiritual silence and sanctuary. Your retreat provides you with an opportunity to slow down and experience the joyful calm of tackling one thing at a time. Embrace this as an intentional part of your retreat. Develop a schedule that allows you the luxury of focusing on one activity at a time, enjoying the ease of simple, unencumbered time. If you plan to make the digital world part of your retreat, try focusing on one aspect at a time. Whatever you do on your retreat, slow down and give it your full, undivided attention. And since I'm sitting back, I'm going to go ahead and turn this light on. There, so I don't seem so dark and shadowy. Introverts and extroverts. Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert? Either way, it's worth considering when planning a retreat. Let's note that being an introvert doesn't mean that one doesn't like being around people. Not at all. What it means is that the introvert must spend time by himself or herself in order to recharge and regather their own energy level. An extrovert, on the other hand, recharges best when surrounded by others and may feel weak and a bit empty or lost if he or she spends a long stretch of time on their own. These characteristics cause different people to approach a retreat experience in different ways, and this presents unique challenges on each side. For introverts, being alone is already comfortable and energizing. These folks may find the idea of a retreat obvious and may need to dig deep to make the undertaking surpass the kinds of experiences they already have every day. In other words, if you already recharge within your own silence, how do you extend or deepen that to make a retreat that feels somehow different from everyday life? Crafting a vigil or vision quest experience might be a good example of how to extend one's usual introvertedness into a profound experience. In contrast, extroverts often prefer to be around people 24/7 and may view being alone as boring or even a bit terrifying. They may need reassurance that a personal retreat can be fun and worthwhile. The extrovert may benefit from beginning with a shorter retreat, allowing him or her to test the waters, so to speak. The extrovert may also be most comfortable if he or she includes lots of visual and auditory input in their experience, or if he or she retreats in an area where people are nearby within seeing distance. He or she might also plan occasional forays into the community, perhaps visiting a library or coffee shop to soak in human vibes. The tasks for this chapter will suggest that you take a Myers-Briggs personality inventory. The Myers-Briggs test uses a series of questions about how one responds in a specific setting or situation. When the answers are combined, the test presents a sort of profile showing how the subject perceives the world, interacts with others, and makes decisions. Taking this test is a fascinating way to learn more about yourself as well as how you interact with others. Meditation. When one is in the midst of a personal vision experience, many insights will come through intentional inward focus or meditation. It's that idea of silence, again, of being silent so you can both listen and hear. I recommend that a good portion of your retreat should be spent in quiet, contemplative thought and meditation. See Chapter 3. How you incorporate this is up to you, but I suggest meditating each morning upon rising, each night before bed, and before and after key activities. In the morning, focus on the day to come. Clear your mind and see what messages or inspirations come. Meditating before and after magical or spiritual activities may provide insights, revelations, or new perspectives. Journal about your discoveries and consider how these ideas teach or strengthen you. Performing a simple meditation before sleep helps clear your mind of the day's thoughts and prepares a blank slate for your dream life. Think of it as a pre-sleep reboot. People who are experienced with meditation may choose to spend large segments of the retreat meditating, using it as a key focus of the experience. Feast or fast. Food can fill and roll in your retreat experience. Depending on your focus, you may choose to feast, fast, or anything in between. Feasting can be a joyful part of your retreat, while fasting can add to the spiritual nature and may leave your mind feeling sharper and more clear than usual. You might even merge the two, beginning the retreat with simple fasting and finishing with a celebratory banquet. The choice, of course, is yours. If you choose to eat regular meals, give some thought to the types of foods you'll choose. I recommend that you stick to unprocessed, natural, or organic foods. Doing this and keeping the meals simple and rather ascetic may add to the feeling of specialness during the experience. On the other hand, if you love to cook, you can work that into your plan and go all out. In fact, foodies may want to cook up a storm during a retreat, enjoying the luxury of available time. Some of you might eschew my suggestion to go organic and unprocessed. A techno-mage friend of mine feasted on caffeinated soda, pepperoni pizza, pretzels, and cheap canned beer throughout her retreat. Some people turn to fasting to lend a special effect to their retreats. There's support behind this. Many esoteric traditions include fasting as an accepted practice. Believing that fasting sharpens the senses and creates a hungry mind, the practice makes sense from a physiological perspective too. Fatty foods fill one's bloodstream with fatty lipids shortly after the food is consumed. Imagine that you consumed a high-fat meal that included a rich, fat, dense piece of meat, buttered vegetables, and a potato with butter and sour cream. If a tube of blood was drawn from your arm shortly after, and if that tube was allowed to rest, the blood cells would settle to the bottom of the tube, and the blood serum, the liquid part of the blood, would actually look cloudy and white. We call this lipemic serum, literally fat blood, because the white cloudiness comes from the fat globules temporarily filling the bloodstream after a fat, dense meal. As you might expect, this creates a sludgy condition within the blood vessels and within your organs, including your brain. Circulation is impaired and mental functions suffer. This is why we always feel sleepy after eating a rich, heavy meal. Eating low-fat foods or simply eating lightly keeps the circulating fat levels low and improves one's alertness, concentration, and focus. If you decide to fast, proceed with care. If you have past experience with fasts, rely on that. But keep in mind that you'll be busy and probably trying to accomplish a number of tasks during your retreat. If fasting, I would suggest that you work with a juice fast rather than water only. Juices provide carbohydrates, which should help you stay energized and avoid plunging your body into a ketotic state where it begins burning muscle tissue. If you start to feel weak or terribly hungry, please eat. Sustaining the fast isn't worth undermining your retreat experience. And after all, your food intake or lack thereof isn't the reason why you're retreating. If you want to incorporate fasting at some point, one option might be to fast briefly in conjunction with a special part of the retreat. For example, prior to and during a vigil fire. If fasting is new to you, consult expert resources before trying it, and you should probably try it at least once before your retreat to see how you respond. However you plan them, your food plans, like everything else that happens during your retreat, should spring from intention, including what you eat and drink. Here are a few general suggestions to help you eat and drink mindfully. 1. Eat lightly and simply and eat only enough to be satisfied. Offer a prayer or blessing before you eat. Chew slowly and meditate on the way that the food is restoring your body as you eat. These simple actions alone can improve the type of food you eat and the way you eat it. 2. Emphasize natural foods that are lightly prepared, if prepared at all. Steamed or raw vegetables, raw fruits, juices, cooked oatmeal, skimmed dairy products, artisan bread, organic nut butters, and plain chicken or fish are perfect examples. Focus on highly colored foods, broccoli, sweet potatoes, purple grapes, as these are full of antioxidants. Avoid saturated fats and trans fats. Read the labels. If it says partially hydrogenated anywhere, you have a trans fat. processed or pre-made foods, refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup, which is not the same as sugar, and artificial sweeteners. As food journalist Michael Pollan suggests, avoid anything your grandmother wouldn't recognize as food. 3. Go lightly with caffeine and alcohol. Neither is terribly harmful on its own. In fact, some health research shows benefits from both caffeine and alcohol when used in moderation. But understand that caffeine is a powerful stimulant as well as a water-depleting diuretic. As for alcohol, it's a potent central nervous system depressant, a mild diuretic, and technically a chemical poison that has been shown to damage or even kill nerve and brain cells when used in larger than moderate quantities. Enjoy these beverages, but don't overdo them. Don't eat just because it's time. Eat when you're hungry and eat slowly and lightly, taking in just enough to feel full. For some of you, this may mean you only eat twice a day. Others might eat every 2 hours. If hunger is an issue, try several light snacks throughout the day. In any case, the goal is not to eat because the clock says it's time, but to eat when your body speaks to you, telling you it needs nourishment. Eating slowly is important too. From the time we swallow our first bite of food, it takes the stomach-brain connection up to 20 minutes to register the food intake. Therefore, eating slowly will help you be satisfied with less. 5. On the other hand, some people include food and meals as a treat aspect of the retreat, eating whenever and whatever they choose. This is fine too. Remember, it's all about the retreat you're designing and about you making it deeply personal to you. 6. When you cook or eat, make it into a ritual. Do as much of the food preparation by hand as you can. Tear the lettuce leaves, slice the fruits and veggies, even bake the bread if you feel like it. Sit down to a table set with tableware and at least one candle. Play soft music. Make the meal into a ritual by washing your hands before coming to the table and offering thanks for the food before you eat. Wash your hands again when you finish and recite a blessing. This closes the meal and helps remind you of the sacredness of the act. 7. Don't read or engage in any other activity while eating. Be mindful of the act of eating in and of itself, and visualize the food and drink restoring your body. 8. Drink water throughout the retreat. Aiming for at least a cup of water every couple of hours. Chances are you may not drink this much water in your everyday life, and you'll be surprised at how it rejuvenates you. Non-caffeinated herbal teas and natural fruit juices can be substituted for water. Don't forget the magic inherent in the foods. Like everything else in the world, foods come with their own magical energies, natures, and actions. Working with the attributes of specific foods, herbs, and beverages will allow you to use these qualities to support your own intentions. Packing up. If you'll be working in your home, you'll have your materials at hand. However, you should still gather them into a single place so that you won't have to spend valuable retreat time searching for your wand or clean robes or scrying crystals or whatever else you need. For an away from home retreat, you'll need to pack as you would for any trip. Consider the following general lists. Personal items. Clothes, including day wear, exercise clothes, and weather-appropriate outerwear. Footwear, shoes, boots, slippers. Toiletry items, towel and washcloth, soap, shampoo, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste. Medications, bring along some aspirin or ibuprofen too, just in case. Eyeglasses or contact lenses, including spares, cleaning materials, etc. Exercise materials, purse, wallet, and identification such as a driver's license. Safety items, flashlight and extra batteries, first aid kit, cell phone and charger, turned off. Food and drink. Food. Pots, pans, and cooking utensils, plates, cups, and personal utensils, kitchen towels, and napkins. Magical items, ritual jewelry and garb, A portable altar setup. See the description of Altoid altars in Chapter 10. Books and reference materials, journal, specific items for your magical retreat activities. Mundane items, camera, desk supplies, pens, pencils, sticky notes, books, music, electronics, and charger, only if essential for music or other materials. Specific items for your mundane retreat activities. Miscellany, camping gear, portable camping chair, small cooler for food, money, matches, candles, firewood. Make good lists and check them at least twice. Filing a trip plan. If you're leaving your home to go on retreat, it's imperative that you let at least one other person know where you're going, how you're getting there, the dates you'll be gone, when to expect you back, and how to contact you in case of emergency. This is especially important if you live alone. Write this information down and make 2 copies. Keep the original trip plan with you throughout the retreat. Give a copy to a friend, neighbor, or family member, and stick the other copy up on your refrigerator. You'll find a trip plan template in Appendix B. Ensuring seclusion. In order that you can do the work you need to do, you cannot be distracted, and that's why you are on retreat alone. If you're leaving family and friends behind for a day or 2 or more, never fear, they will be absolutely fine, and you'll return with a rested, happy soul, ready to plunge back into those relationships. Let your loved ones know that you won't be available during the retreat. Arrange a plan to check for phone messages once or twice a day, but let them know you will not reply unless the situation is truly an emergency. And yes, checking only once or twice a day is more than sufficient. Keep in mind that we had telephones for decades without even having answering machines, and everyone still managed to stay in touch. Relax and enjoy your time away, and be sure to bring your loved ones a treat on the way home. Tasks for Chapter 5. So this is the end of Chapter 5. The journey continues, and the excitement builds. No doubt your retreat will come with its own challenges, which you'll hopefully meet with joy. Planning ahead will help the road be smooth, and a bit of divine inspiration can't hurt either. 1. At the center of this retreat is work with magic and/or spirituality. What sorts of activities have you decided to focus on? How will these strengthen you? What will you gain or learn? 2. Will you follow your own lead or seek guidance from deities, spirits, or patrons while on retreat? How will this enrich or direct your experience? 3. How will you create a mood and setting for your retreat? 4. How will you embrace silence? 5. How do you respond to the idea of going electronically silent? Write about your response to the suggestion. 6. Make a list of food and drink that you will have on hand during your retreat. Write 1 or 2 paragraphs that describe the kind of meals that you plan for the experience. 7. Use a search engine for Myers-Briggs. The Myers-Briggs test is a personality inventory that will tell you a lot about how you interact with others, as well as whether you are more introverted or extroverted. Take the test and consider your results. What did you discover? Were you surprised at all? 8. Will you feast, fast, or something in between? Explain how you'll work with food and drink during your retreat. And then notes and ideas. And of course, the notes and ideas section, you can put whatever you want. That's totally up to you. It's very personal. I'm looking for my here it is. My bookmark, so I can keep the sections that I was reading for myself, because I am still going through this book myself. But I have 2, places marked and checked, and so I can keep them separate. So that's pretty much it for now. I may be, live streaming again here soon. I may try to even do a fun one. Have my friend Jen over. She was knocking on the door earlier, and I feel sorry. I not feel sorry, but I apologize to her for that. But I appreciate that my husband didn't let her come in and distract me. So, but we gotta, get our butts to the store and get some stuff done. So, peace, and I will see you next live stream. Subscribe, hit the like button, and the bell icon. So once I do actually start getting people and subscribers on here, everything will be in order and working as it should. Blessed be all.